So guys, welcome to Leaves and Lungs, and today it's going to be very important because the topic is going to be about on the adulteration and the analysis of the adulterants in the milk products. So this is very crucial topic because since India is predominantly a milk-based economy, so the exams related to food safety as well as FSSAI exams they will usually test one or two questions deals with the milk products, and also this is one of the basically universalized consumed products in India. So it is very basic knowledge and very logical to start with adulterations in milk. So I will give you in the aspect of the objective oriented pattern. We are not going to discuss detail about the techniques and the methods involved. We will just revise, or we will just tend to know what is the basic overview of all the adulterations and how the adulterant is actually identified. So first is the basic common adulterant that we use in milk is cane sugar. Okay, so cane sugar is nothing but the sugar that is extracted from the sugar cane. Okay, so this is what cane sugar. So cane sugar is actually made up of two components. Okay, one is sucrose and another is fructose. Okay, so normally milk does not contain either of the two. That is, milk does not have either sucrose or fructose. So if you happen to find any sucrose or fructose, then milk has been adulterated with cane sugar. Okay, so this is how the adulteration in the milk with cane sugar can be found. So there is a specific method that is used to determine the adulterant in the milk. So the method is called as modified Selivanov method. Okay, so for 100% sure that the state boards or whichever organization that is going to conduct examinations is going to be very direct and very objective. That is, you're gonna get direct questions. So which test will going to find at what kind of sugar? Okay, so this is going to be very simple and straightforward. So just remember, sucrose is detected by modified Selivanov method. You have to remember this. So for more detail, if they want to like check it more in depth, they will ask what is the reagent that is used in modified Selivanov method. So the reagent is resorcinol. Okay, so resorcinol finally what gives when you add this reagent to the sample containing sucrose or fructose, it's going to give red color. So just remember, cane sugar, modified Selivanov method for fructose and sucrose, and the resorcinol is the reagent and red color. Just 5 points you need to remember this. And the next thing is like after seeing cane sugar, there is one more substances that is commonly added, that is called starch. Starch is nothing but the white substances that you get from potatoes, tubers, and all kinds of vegetables, that is very flowy in texture. Okay, so this is called starch, and usually starch is applied like in a powdery form, and it is mixed with the milk. Since because both are white in color, it is one of the commonly used adulterant in India. So like how would you test the starch in the milk? The reagent we use is iodine. Okay, this is very straightforward. You no need to remember anything. You have to take a notes of everything. You have to note what is the adulterant used and what is the reagent used and what is the color. Maximum they will test you on these three things alone. Okay, so just remember starch. When you add with the iodine solution, it will give out a deep blue color. Okay, but when the sample is boiled again, the blue color disappears and it reappears on cooling. Okay, so this is like an extra information. Just remember starch, iodide, and blue color. Okay, and the next thing is cellulose. Okay, cellulose is predominantly from the plant sources, and this cellulose can be detected by either iodine or zinc chloride reagent. Okay, it is not either, it is like a single compound, that is iodine and zinc chloride reagent. Okay, so first the process is first you have to treat with iodine, and then it gives reacted with zinc chloride reagent, and finally it gives blue color. Okay, so just remember, whenever you add iodine it gives blue color. Okay, just remember the color, and the reagent is very important. And there is also we find urea in the milk. Okay, so you just, for extra information, I have given you that anything that is above 70 milligram per 100 ml per milk, it is to be referred as arid urea. Okay, so usually the normal urea constituents in the milk is about 20 mg to 70 mg. However, when you have more than 70 mg, for sure urea is added. Okay, so this is one of the crucial information regarding the urea. So how would you like find this? Okay, so the reagent we commonly use is dimethyl aminobenzaldehyde. Okay, just remember DMAB. And urea, it gives out yellow complex when you react with this reagent containing urea. Okay, so just remember urea, the normal levels, and the reagent dimethylene aminobenzaldehyde, and it forms a yellow complex with this reagent. Guys, you have to take note it down, the reagent, the color, and what is the final output, and also if they give any normal value, just note it down. Okay, so this is very easy to understand, very easy to score. All these are rote memory, that is, you just remember it and you have to reproduce it in the exams. And the next common one is they add sulfates with the milk also. Okay, so just remember, the reagent that we use is barium chloride. Okay, so just remember sulfates, the barium chloride, and what is the final product? If a milk contains sulfates, it gives out milky white precipitates. There are various kinds of sulfates that could be added. One is ammonium sulfate, sodium sulfate, zinc sulfate, and magnesium sulfate, etc. Okay, so just remember sulfates, barium chloride, milky white precipitates. These are the very basic essential thing that you should be knowing it. Okay, everyone would have seen glucose. Okay, in the healthcare setup as well as in medical and pharmacy, you would have seen glucose. It is a powdery white substances. Okay, it's a powdery white substances that gives you instant energy. What happens is the glucose is also mixed with the milk. So this can be detected by two specific reagent. You should have to remember this: Barford reagent as well as phosphomolybdic acid. Okay, just remember the names alone because that is very enough. That is very basic to crack this exam. Okay, so just remember modified Barford's reagent and phosphomolybdic acid. So the resultant is again a deep blue color. Okay, so guys, can you see how many color that is associated with the blue itself? Okay, so even if you don't have any remote knowledge, if you want to give a guess in the exams, try always go with the blue color. Okay, so for extra point I've given here. So if you want to know what is Barfoot reagent, just remember it is composed of copper acetate and acetic acid. Okay, so sometimes maybe if you want to make the question paper very tough, they could ask what is the constituent of modified Barfoot reagent. So one is copper acetate and another is acetic acid. Okay, and the next thing is phosphomolybdic acid. So in case if it's impure milk, it gives out deep blue color. In case it is pure milk, it gives faint bluish color, but it can be but because this is observed due to dilution of the Barfoot's reagent. Okay, so guys, remember the names alone. That is very important for this exams. And how would you find sodium chloride? So sodium chloride is nothing but the normal table salt that we use in every day. Okay, and this can be detected by using two reagent. One is silver nitrate and another is potassium chromate reagent. Okay, so what is the inference? What is the final product? Okay, so if there is no just remember, if there is no salt in the milk, it gives out a normal chocolate brown color when you add these two reagent. But whereas if it contains sodium chloride, it gives out yellow color. Okay, so just remember, yellow color means it has NaCl. Okay, if it don't have any NaCl, it gives a chocolate brown. So next is you know that each cow's milk differs in the chemical constituents and also the nutritional constituents. So how do you present this foreign fat in the milk? There is actually a meter called as butyro-refractometer and also modified Gerber butyrometer. Just remember the names. This is used to detect the fat levels, also various kinds of fat, and you should be knowing these two names. Okay, butro is nothing but it's something related with butter. So yeah, just remember it is like related with the milk and fat. So butyro-refractometer, when they ask you what is this, it is used to present the detection of foreign fat in the milk. Next is modified Gerber butyrometer. Remember the names alone will give you almost all the things that you need to crack this exam. Modified Gerber butyrometer. Next is like usually milk is adulterated with pond water. Okay, so this pond water has various kinds of fertilizer. The fertilizers are nothing but the nitrogen containing nitrates. So how will you find this? So there is two reagent. There is one reagent called diphenylamine. Okay, when you add the pond water containing milk with the diphenylamine, it gives deep blue color. Can you see how many deep blue is repeating? So guys, just remember the reagent alone. That is very well. That will be like the key. And the next thing is detection of neutralizers in milk. Okay, neutralizers are nothing but anything that reduces or balances the pH. Okay, for example, if you leave the milk as such, the milk pH will be decreased. So in order to increase the pH, okay, so just remember you have a neutral pH of 7. When it goes down to 3, it is more acidic, and when it goes to 10, it is more alkaline. Okay, so in order to pull it back, you should need to add some kind of neutralizers. Okay, so that is such as sodium hydroxide, sodium carbonate, okay, sodium bicarbonate. Okay, so these are the bases. Bases are added to sustain the neutralize the develop acidity in the milk. So you can even detect this with the presence of a reagent called as rosalic acid. Okay, so there is also other method to identify the detection of neutralizers in the milk through the alkalinity, through like when you check the alkalinity of the ash method is also there to find this. Okay, so just remember neutralizers, rosalic acid, and alkalinity of the ash. Okay, just remember these things alone. And hypochlorites and chloramines. Okay, the commonly used bleaching powder is called as sodium hypochlorite, and chloramines is also the substances that we use commonly in disinfectants also. So you would have seen that bleaching powder is pure white in color. Sometimes some people, like, they even add this bleaching chloride to the milk. Okay, so the reagent we commonly used is stannous chloride. Okay, just remember this. When you add this stannous chloride, it produces yellowish fluorescence. Just remember this, very very crucial, because these are commonly used household substances. Yellow fluorescence, stannous chloride. Just remember, take it down in your like note making apps, or take it down in your notes or books, whatever you want. Just remember these keywords alone, because if you like take a book and read, this is very very going to cost you a lot of time. Okay, test for presence of anionic detergents in milk. So there is a lot of soaps that comes in white color, right? When you mix this white soap along with the milk, it is very hard to detect also. And specifically to detect this kinds of anionic detergent adulteration, there is a dye called as methylene blue dye. Just remember the name. Methylene blue is associated with anionic detergent, that is soaps. Okay, when you add this soap, it gives off two layers of colors. Okay, that is more blue in the lower half and light blue. Like it has two when the detergent containing milk sample is mixed with methylene blue, it gives off two blue color. One is deep blue at the bottom and light blue at the upper layers. Okay, so this is what the methylene blue test is all about. It is used to find the anionic detergents. Just remember. And next is like the new market has opened up for a lot of kinds of milk. There you have toned milk, you have skimmed milk. There is a lot of milks. We'll be discussing each and everything in the upcoming videos. But today I'll say how would you detect the presence of skimmed milk powder in the natural milk. Okay, so you have phosphomolybdic acid. Again, where did you last saw this phosphomolybdic acid? It is used in the detection of glucose, right? And also acetic acid. So these two reagent are added to the skimmed milk, and this will gives out a bluish color depending upon the amount of the skimmed milk powder that is added. If it is less amount of skimmed milk powder, it will give you like light bluish color. If there is more, it will give dark bluer color. Okay, so just remember, note it down. And the next is how would you present the reduction of gelatin in the milk? So gelatin is something kind of a gel kind of, it is a kind of a glue like sticky substances. For example, when you cut lady's finger, you would get some kind of gluish consistency fluid, right? So that is kind of similar to gelatin. So what is the reagent we use? Mercury, concentrated nitric acid, and picric acid solution. Just remember, this is like out of the bolt of the blue. Okay, so picric acid plus gelatin. Okay, what does it gives? It gives a yellow precipitate. Okay, it gives yellow precipitates. Just remember, there is few colors. One is red color and one is blue color and yellow color. You have to remember which one is yellow and which one is red. remaining all of it comes under the deep blue color. Okay, so if you found any color specific in nature, just note it down, read and revise again and again. That would be like helpful for your exams. And like the commonly used preservative is formalin. Sometimes even they add formalin to milk. Okay, so the test that is used to detect the presence of formalin in milk is Hainer's test. Okay, just remember the name of the test is very important. We have already discussed Selivanov test, modified Selivanov test. Try to recall it. And this Hainer's test, the reagent we use is sulfuric acid. So when you add sulfuric acid along with formalin containing the milk sample, it gives out a purple ring, a new color. Just remember formalin purple. Okay, just remember this thing. And there is also another test, chromatotropic acid test. Okay, so I've given about the details of the chromatotropic acid test here. So it's not very important, but you could be tested upon also. And also you had boric acid and borates. Okay, so boric acid is usually like when you get injured, there is usually a boric acid powder that is used as to prevent any antiseptics, or it is also used in the curing of normal injuries. Okay, so that is boric acid. And the test, this reagent is turmeric paper. Like this is not a very important, or this is not kind of a bigger thing that can be like asked. So anyway, I've given that the turmeric paper is associated with boric acid, salicylic acid. Okay, so salicylic acid is nothing but it is a kind of an organic acid. It is constituent of aspirin, the main drug that is used in heart attack. Also, it is a painkiller, and like it is a important drug in the treatment of many patients. So salicylic acid, aspirin, just remember this is an extra point. So even this is adulterated, and it gives out a color violet. Okay, just remember I've given the reagent here also, HCl, ether and neutral ferric chloride solution. These are like extra points, but try to like note it down. Salicylic acid gives violet color, formalin gives purple color. Okay, and there are few substances which gives yellow complexes, such as urea gives yellow. Okay, just try to remember this. This is the only one thing that they could ask from this adulterate. They cannot ask the detail and in-depth analysis and all, because even in the portion they have given overview. Overview means you just need to know what is the basic stuff that is associated with. And the next two important things are ALP test. ALP test is nothing but alkaline phosphatase is a very crucial enzyme that is present in the natural constituent of the milk itself. Okay, so also like various organisms has this alkaline phosphatase, such as salmonella, campylobacter. All those kinds of disease causing microorganisms are associated with these enzymes. So this test, ALP test, is used to check the efficiency of pasteurization. Okay, pasteurization is nothing but it is a technique used to involve like heating to eliminate all forms of bacteria or any disease causing microorganism. It is all similar to sterilization, but sterilization is applied to surface also. So this turbidity test associated with sterilization, ALP test associated with pasteurization. And the next thing is there is also a test to determine the total amount of solids given in a fluid. This method is called as gravimetric method. So gravimetric is something always related to any substances that falls down under the gravity. Okay, if there is any solid that is present in the liquid, it just gonna settle down at the bottom of the test tube. So this is called as gravimetric method. Okay, so just remember these three tests could be crucial for your exams. And as I already said, like the fats in the creams. Okay, so fats in the milk or fats in the cream. So there are few tests to detect this. One is Gerber test. I already told, modified Gerber test, that is used to present the fat, foreign fat in the milk. For our creams also the same test is applied. Like you don't need to dwell into the details of all the test, what the test is all about. Just remember the names alone. That is very helpful. Okay, so the next is Rose Gottlieb method and acid digestion by Werner Schmidt method. Okay, so just remember the names, very helpful. That's it. And gelatin can be detected by Stokes test. Okay, so name, what is the compound used, and what is the color that we get at the end product. These are the crucial elements that is used to remember for your exams perspective. Okay, finally I've given like a basic match the following test. put up like what is the test that is used for the efficiency of pasteurization. Is it Hennes? No. Hennes is formalin. Okay. Hennes is formalin. For pasteurization is ALP. Okay. Just try to remember ALP pasteurization P. Okay. So this could be like helpful maybe. And the sterilization, as I told you, sterilization. Okay. That is turbidity test. Gelatin is Stokes test. Okay, so just remember gelatin is Stokes test. Okay, so guys, if you want it, I'll keep posting more and more videos for the upcoming exams. Plus do give your comment as a valuable feedback, because the target audience is very less for this type of exams. But if you want me to make more videos of this, like, please do suggest, please do comment in the comment box, so that I could be happy to share what I've known